This is homework set number 21. We're going to start solving rational equations. Question 1, look what we've got here. This is a quadratic, right? I've got something squared plus 3 times that same something and then minus some constant. Now I'm going to solve this by substitution. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just pick some letter. I'll pick u. That's pretty common. Let u equal this x minus 4. All right, that's going to be our substitution. Now I'll come back to that one later. So here's what we'll have. If you do that, take that x minus 4, and everywhere you see it up here, replace it with u, right? X minus 4 is now u. So I'll have u squared plus 3u minus 18. So it'll look like this. U squared plus 3u minus 18 equals 0. Now, here's a quadratic. We can factor this. Set up our two parentheses. Don't forget the equal 0. How about u and u? Now, what numbers do you want to use to multiply together to get 18? That'll add together to give 3. Well, how about 6 and 3? All right, so we'll use 6 and 3. Now, the 18 is negative, so the 6 and 3 have opposite signs. I'll put that plus sign with the bigger of these two products. And here's what I mean. The inner product is 6u. The outer product is 3u. This is bigger. So I'll put the plus sign with that one. So I'll get plus 6u minus u plus 6 and then u minus 3. Now I can solve this. U is equal to negative 6 or u is equal to 3. Well, we're close. It's not u that I'm looking for. I'm looking for x. Now, remember what we did back here? What is u? U is x minus 4. So take that x minus 4 and put it in place of the u, like a double substitution here. So I'll have x minus 4 equals negative 6. And if I add 4, I'll get x equals negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And over here, that u is x minus 4 equals 3. Now add 4, I'll get, or x equals 7. So here's our conclusion. X is negative 2 or 7. Now question 2, we can use substitution again. You see we've got that x minus 1 squared and then an x minus 1. So why don't we do this? Why don't we let u equal x minus 1, and we're going to use this method here, substitution. I'm substituting u for x minus 1. So doing so, it'll look like this, 4, and instead of the x minus 1, I'll substitute a u there, 4u squared plus 25u, and then plus 6 equals 0. Let's factor. Don't forget the equals 0. Now we come to this 4. What do you want to use, 4 and 1 or 2 and 2? Well, here's what I know. Usually I'd use a 2 and a 2, but I'm looking at this. It's kind of a big number here. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll try the 4 and the 1. So I'll try 4 and u and a u, and then what about the 6? All right, so here's how I can get that 6, right? The 6, I can try 3 and 2 or 6 and 1. Now, let's see. I'm going to try the pair closest together this time. Now, if I do this, I know I cannot put that 2 here, because if I did, I'd have 2's in common. There's nothing common here, so I can't have suddenly pop up in common. So if this pair is going to work, I'd have to put the 2 over here and the 3 here. Now, just run a quick check. Is there a chance? 8u, the outer product is 8. The inner product is 3. I can't get a 25 out of that. That's not going to work. Okay, so now I see it. All right, let's scratch that one. That didn't work. So let's go with, I'm not going to give up on that 4u yet and the u. But now I'm going to try the 6 and the 1. And I should have seen this before. Maybe you see it already. If I try a 6 and a 1, if I put the 6 here, I'll get a 24, and there's a 25, right? 24 and 1 is a 25. So let's try that. 6 over here, 1 here, and now the 6 is plus. It's positive. So these two numbers have the same sign, that middle plus sign. So how about this? There we go. So now I'll get 4u plus 1 equals 0, or u plus 6 equals 0. Now from this one right here, just do it. what are you going to do? You're going to subtract 1, divide by 4. So let's just do it. Subtract 1, divide by 4, or over here, u is negative 6. But I'm not looking for u, right? I'm looking for x. So what is u? By our original substitution, I should circle that up here. I usually do. So circle that. What is u? It's x minus 1. So what I really get now is x minus 1 is negative 1/4, or x minus 1 is equal to negative 6. Okay, now over here, I'm going to add 1, so I'll get x equals 1. This is a minus 1/4. I could have lost that minus sign. Minus 1/4. Okay, so x is equal to 3/4. Or, from here, I'll get x equals negative 6, add a 1, you get negative 5. Okay, so 3/4 and negative 5. Question 3. Look at this. We've got a 4th degree polynomial. I'm going to treat this as if it were a quadratic. I've got a 4, 2, none. All right, so this exponent is exactly double this one, and then no exponent at all. So I'm going to start by getting that 180 to the left side. Get everything on the left side. X to the 4th plus 41x squared plus 180. This is equal to 0. Now I'm going to factor this. Now that 180 is going to be a little bit tricky. But that 180 is tricky only because it's such a big number and there's so many ways to break it down. Let's try this. 180 is 180 times 1. Now that's not going to work, you know it, because out of 180 and 1, if I add or subtract, I can't get a 41. So let's keep factoring this. Now 180 is even, so I can cut it in half and double, getting 90 times 2. Now keep going. I can cut in half and double. That one's not going to work, right? 90 and 2. I can't get a 41 out of those, adding or subtracting. Cut in half, 45 and 4. Now it looks like that might work because 45 and 4, I can get a 41 out of. But the problem is this is a positive 180, so positive. That means these two numbers would have to have the same sign when you multiply them together. And if they have the same sign, I'll get a 49. I'm looking for a 41. That's not going to work. Now, 45 is not even, but I can divide it by, say, 9. So what I could do is I could divide this by 9, getting 5, and then multiply this one by 9. That'll give me 36. Oh, now this looks good, right? Because here's two numbers that when I add them together, I can get 41. So I think I'm going to try this. So let's factor. Don't forget to equal 0. So how about x squared, and then plus 5 plus 36. Now I've got two factors here. We can multiply together to give me 0. One of them's got to be 0, so it could be this one. The x squared plus 5, that could be 0, or the x squared plus 36, that could be 0. Now, I got a squared term and a constant. Let's solve this by taking square roots. So I'll subtract the 5. I'll get x squared equals negative 5. Take square roots. Square root of x squared equals square root of negative 5. On the left side, square root of x squared is the absolute value of x, equals, now I have square root of a negative. That's an I, and I don't know square root of 5, so I'm just going to write I square root of 5. And then when I remove the absolute values, this is where you get plus or minus. So x is equal to plus or minus I square root of 5. Now, all the way back at the beginning here, all the way back to the beginning, this is a 4th degree polynomial, right? 4th degree. That means I'm expecting 4 solutions. We did some work here, and we got 2 of them, right? I got positive I root 5, negative I root 5. The other 2 are going to come from this little equation here. So separate them. X squared equals, subtract 36. I'll get negative 36. take square roots. Square root of x squared equals square root of negative 36. On the left side, square root of x squared is absolute value of x equals, now, I got the I because square root of negative, square root of 36 is 6, so how about 6i? All right, so here's our solutions. X could equal plus, almost, take the absolute values off, I get plus or minus 6i. Now I've got all four. So here's our solutions. X equals plus or minus 6i and plus or minus I square root of 5. And that is the end of the first three questions on homework set 21.